Welcome to r/AmITheA, where this student isn't sure if they're in the right or the wrong for refusing to work in a team with a classmate with Down syndrome. Am I the jerk for refusing to be paired up with the Down syndrome kid? I am a 16-year-old girl, and I'm in a special class in my high school for special needs students. It's not purely for disabled kids, but mostly for people 16 to 20 who had drug or mental health problems that led them to dropping out of school. There's one kid in the class, Daniel, who is 17, and he has Down syndrome. I have an autoimmune condition that makes me miss a lot of school because I'm in hospital, and I use a cane or a walker. Our class coordinator, Brenda, likes to get us to do different activities during the day because our classes are structured differently from the rest of the school, mostly trying to get us to socialize by doing activities like board games or helping out in the school canteen. Daniel and I are the only two physically disabled students in the class, and because of this, we keep getting paired up. I hate it. He's really rude to me and will do stuff like take my cane and give it to his other friends as he thinks it's funny. I've told Brenda that he won't quit harassing me and I don't want to be left alone with him, but she just tells me I'm being prejudiced against his condition and lying about it because he has Downs and not a mean bone in his body. I'm now refusing to do anything with him and I walked out of the kitchen when we were both rostered. So am I the jerk for this? Everyone keeps saying that people with Downs don't know how to be mean, so I don't know if this is actually discriminatory. Okay, well, thankfully, the title isn't as bad as it sounds then with the context provided. When I first read that title, I thought, oh my goodness me, that is awful. OP is obviously the jerk. But with context now, it's clear that you're not. I mean, first of all, people with Downs definitely know how to be mean. Second of all, it sounds like this kid is just horrible to be around and, to be honest, is bullying you. And thirdly, why isn't Brenda doing her job and listening to you? That's insane. Like, she's just doing a terrible job there, ultimately. If I were you, I would go straight to your principal, explain what's happening, and try and get the justice you deserve, because this is ridiculous, and of course, you are not the jerk. Am I the jerk for telling my stepdaughter that her birthday is cancelled? My husband has a 7-year-old daughter from his previous relationship. My husband and his ex had a bad breakup since she was also in a relationship with someone else and thought that my stepdaughter was his. She broke things off with my husband. He and I were already in a relationship when he had to take a paternity test and found out he was her father. Her mum also has a problem with me because she thought that my husband would get back together with her. The ex has 3 other kids with her partner. When she was pregnant with her 3rd one, my stepdaughter came to live with us because there was no room for her at her mum's house. At the time, we had a lot going on. We just bought a home and were in the middle of renovations. We stayed in the house to save money. It wasn't a livable situation for a 4-year-old, but we decided to take her in anyway. We went through tough times with her during these 3 years, and everything just became stable. Our home is finished, and financially, we are doing very well. I am currently 5 months pregnant, and though it wasn't a planned pregnancy, my husband and I are happy about it. However, my stepdaughter is not very excited about a new sibling. She even asked my mum if we would send her away now that we're having a baby. Someone at her school told her that she might be sent away as we wouldn't care about her with a new baby in the house, and she's worried that everything will change again. My husband and I decided to throw a big birthday party for her to make her feel special. Everything has already been planned and paid for by my in-laws and parents. Her birthday is on the 22nd and her party is on the 25th. She had her weekend with her mum, and usually she gets dropped off at my in-laws' home, so I'm never in contact with the ex. This Sunday, the ex dropped her off at our home and yelled at me about the party. She said a bunch of horrible things about my family and that she would send people to disrupt the party if my family was there. My stepdaughter asked if her party would be cancelled because that's what her mother said. I told her that honestly, we might have to cancel it because we want to make sure it's safe and fun for everyone. I told her we would still celebrate her birthday no matter what. Now, my husband is a bit upset that I told her. I just wanted to be honest with her in case we did have to cancel the party due to her mum's threats. Her mum has done this before and I just didn't want her to feel disappointed again. I, of course, didn't mean to upset her. I just think it's awful to lie to her. And then we do end up having to cancel, or the party does end up being disrupted. I don't know. He told me he understood, but was still upset. My stepdaughter is still very distraught. I just didn't want her to feel disappointed. So, am I the jerk? See, I don't really know about this one, to be honest, guys. I get it. You want to be honest with your children, and you don't want to give them false promises. However, I feel like in this situation, although I understand your point, yeah, there's a chance that this doesn't happen. Surely the most likely thing is that you'll get this dispute sorted and the party will happen. Or you'll just have it anyway and, hire some security or something. I mean, what are they really going to do? You've got to have the party. You can't live in fear of other people that you don't like coming into your life and ruining things. I don't think. Anyway, all that to say that I'm not sure that you had to tell her this at this moment in time. Yes, if closer to the event, it was looking like it was going to be a serious safety concern, I think you tell her then. But at this moment in time, I don't know. She's obviously devastated, as you can probably expect. But yeah, I just don't know if you had to tell her right now. Ultimately, you're just going to be vindicating her mum if you do cancel this. Why don't you just say to her, look, we're going to celebrate your birthday no matter what. Don't worry about that. There's just a little thing the adults need to sort out. Simple as that. Don't say your party's not going to happen. To be honest, I'm not even sure that you believe that, right? Surely there's a good chance the party will happen. It feels like quite a glass half empty mentality, to be honest. And if you're that concerned about safety, call the police. I mean, to be honest, the thing that stands out is this girl's life is kind of sad because of this situation. Her own mother didn't even want her, and she seems like she still has so many abandonment issues. I mean, they're to be expected. Just very, very sad. Something needs to happen, not just with this party, but with this family as a whole. Am I the jerk for telling my sister-in-law how much my brother owes me when she tried to tell my nephews that I was an example of why they should stay in school? I am a steam fitter, and I work a lot of overtime. I work a lot of overtime because I hate working. So I usually work like a madman for 7 months of the year and take the other 5 off. My brother is a teacher and the first person in our family to graduate from university. I've always been proud of him, and he's actually pretty awesome. He married another teacher and they have 2 boys. His wife comes from a family of educated people. I think most of her relatives are college educated. My wife and I are expecting our first child, and we had my parents and my brother's family over so we could announce it. I spent the day getting my smoker going early, and we set up for what I thought was going to be a nice visit and announcement. Full disclosure, my wife and I currently live in a manufactured home, a mobile home. We keep it tidy and it has city water and power. I'm not sure why, but my sister-in-law decided that before dinner was the perfect time to tell her children that they needed to stay in school if they didn't want to end up like me and my wife. I saw red and was about to let her have it, but my mum and brother told her that she was being rude and that she needed to apologize. She didn't though. She doubled down and said that we were doing okay for the 2 of us, but what if we wanted a child? She just didn't want her kids to end up like us. I told my brother he needed to tell her to shut up or they needed to leave. She said that she was just thinking about our future and our children's future. I told her then that my kids would probably be okay as soon as her husband paid me back for his education that I paid for. My brother has no student loans because I paid for his education. I told her that my current house wasn't great, but that the construction across the road was our new house that we were having built since my wife and I own the quarter section of land that our trailer is on. I then told her that since I make more money than her and my brother combined, while only working a little over half a year, I think we'll be okay. I would not actually call in the loan to my brother. I know that they are living just within their means and do not have the money to pay me back. She got embarrassed and they left. I told my parents about the baby, and we had a load of leftovers since 4 people left. My parents, my wife, and my brother all said that I didn't need to lose my cool with her and that she meant well. My mum said that I was vulgar to point out how much money I make. I don't know, I hated myself for pointing out that my brother is poor compared to me, but I didn't start the conversation. Wow, let me tell you guys, the way that you've reacted in this OP is exactly the same way that I'd react. It's all good, and everyone wants to be humble. And if you do really well for yourself, that's great and all. You don't have to flaunt it. I'll be very happy just chilling out. If people think I earn less money than I do, that is so fine with me. However, when you're getting kind of personally attacked and other people in your family are kind of belittling you and making their children feel a certain way about you and that sort of stuff, and also kind of really being quite degrading and devaluing the life that you lead right now, that I couldn't stand for. I'd have to say, no. You're just missing things here, guys. Like, come on. And also, the point about your brother's loan, yeah, I mean, that's such an easy win, and it just completely kills your sister-in-law's entire argument right there and then. Yeah, it's kind of jerky to bring up, but she's the one that started this in the first place and is ultimately just being really horrible to you for no reason. Am I the jerk for telling my 14-year-old daughter that she's average looking? I am a 39-year-old woman, and I have a very insecure 14-year-old daughter who has a depressingly unhealthy obsession with her looks. She often avoids mirrors and pictures because her mood instantly drains when she sees herself. She constantly asks her father and me if we think she's pretty, and we always tell her the same thing, that she's a beautiful girl inside and out. As I understand how most teenage girls are with their body image, as I was one at some point myself, my daughter's vanity is not only becoming exhausting to those around her, but I fear it's causing her to slowly lose herself. Yesterday, I decided to sit her down to chat with her about this, to discuss what's bothering her, and to see if she's willing to visit a therapist. She told me she didn't want to talk about it, but as her mother, of course, I'm going to be worried about her, so I insisted. She finally agreed. A few minutes into this conversation, she asked exactly this. Mum, I want you to be completely honest with me. That means no sugarcoating. The kids at my school think I'm ugly and say I look like a bird because I have a big nose. Do you really think I'm beautiful, or are you just lying? I am an honest person, so I gave her the most honest answer I had. I told her she was average looking like most people in the world are, and that it's not a bad thing to have an average appearance. She immediately got up and left without saying a word, and just went into her room for the rest of the night. Today, she's been cold and distant, and I think I upset her, which wasn't my intention at all. So, am I the jerk? Okay, here we go. We have our first out-and-out jerk of this episode. You could argue that the woman who told her daughter or a stepdaughter that her birthday might be cancelled was a jerk as well. I think she was, but not an out-and-out jerk. I don't think this was malicious. Whereas this, what could you possibly be gaining from this? It is not your role as a parent to ever say to your kid, yeah, you know, if I've got to be honest, you are pretty average looking, and just completely destroy their ego. Like, you have to build your kid up, right? Obviously, you don't want them to become spoiled, but with everything else going on that she said, kids in school calling her ugly and stuff, you saying she's average looking, how's that ever going to help? You've got to build her up. The kids at school and other people in her life are always going to, on the whole, kind of put her down. So to get to this equilibrium, you as a family member and a parent have to be doing this as everyone else is doing this, surely. Because if everyone else is doing this and then you're also doing this, then we're going down here, aren't we? Now, for the audio listeners, I'm doing some very strange movements with my hands. That's all you need to know. I'm an honest person, so I'll sit my child down and tell them how ugly they are. You're the jerk. Am I the jerk for not telling my boyfriend I own the building we live in? When I was 18, my dad gifted me a house with 2 stories. I am extremely thankful. We're not upper class, but my dad bought this house for a cheap price a long time ago. It was his grandmother's cousin's house. I know that this was an extreme privilege, and I am forever grateful for this. The layout of this building is like an apartment, but it's a house. So basically, each story has its own separate entry, its own kitchen and bathroom. I live upstairs while I rent out the downstairs. My boyfriend, who is 25, moved in with me about 3 months ago, and we've been together for 6 months. I've not asked him for money, neither for utilities, or to pay me any rent. The only thing he contributes to is groceries. We split them 50-50. I've not brought up that I own the building, as it's not something I tell many people. If people ask me, I of course tell them that I own it, but if they just assume that I'm a renter, then they can believe that. The topic of a landlord, the renter downstairs, or the owner of the building has not been something that we've talked about. This last Tuesday, the renter below came up to tell me that her freezer has stopped working. I answered the door and my boyfriend heard us talking, I suppose. I went downstairs to take a look, and we came to the conclusion that she would buy a new one, send me the receipt, and I'd give her the money. She was very grateful for this solution. When I went upstairs, my boyfriend asked if it could be fixed. I told him no, but she was going to buy a new one and I would pay for it. He looked at me like I was crazy and asked why the heck I would pay for her freezer. I told him that because I am her landlord and the freezer was there when she started renting, I would stand for the cost. He just asked me if I was serious, to which I said I was. He began screaming at me, asking why the heck I would hold this information from him and that I was an evil person. I said I was sorry for not telling him, but I didn't think it would matter. He said he could not believe he was together with someone who was a landlord, that all of us just use people for money, and that the only thing we people care about is money, and would rather have people be homeless than offering affordable rent. The downstairs is 1 kitchen, 1 bath, and 4 other rooms. I charge $500 in rent. Oh my goodness, if you guys know how much I paid for rent in the UK, for much less than that, you'd be shocked. Nonetheless, let's carry on. I understand that many people have had trouble with landlords, but I try my best to be a good one. He demanded that I give him 50% of the money that I make from rent, or else I was just as bad as he thought. Was I really the jerk for not telling him? He hasn't talked to me since Tuesday, and I've tried telling him that I'm truly sorry, but he doesn't answer me at all. Now, I think this story really is pretty similar to the previous one, in which only at a certain point did a certain user, OP, want to speak about their wealth. Now, this one I feel like is a little bit different because it's not kind of wealth that you, OP, have created for yourself. Whether that means too much, I don't really know, but you can't really go around flaunting something that you didn't necessarily earn. I know you say you're privileged, you're extremely privileged, and you're very grateful, so I understand that you're not doing that, but there's a little bit of a difference there. However, no, you don't have to tell your boyfriend that you own the building that you live in. Just how can that be relevant again? Like I get your point. You don't want to flaunt the fact that you own the building. You want to just be sensible. He's just clearly got a weird thing against landlords. Personally, I don't really understand. I know a lot of people do hate landlords in general, but I kind of see it from a business perspective and just think that, you know, if you can make money from renting your flat or your house to other people, why wouldn't you do it? Yes, I know maybe the prices are a little bit too high, but also that is how the free market works. Let's not go into economics here, but and if people are willing to pay that much, then why would you not put it at that price? That is my thought. You know, shoot me in the comments down below. Your boyfriend is a disgrace. I think we can all agree. And actually, thinking about it now, if he had offered to pay you half the rent, then surely he would have known that the money was coming to you eventually, right? I'm sure you would have said that at some point, because it would have been a bit weird for you to just keep that money and then not tell him. That would have been a bit weird. So the fact that he doesn't know that you own the building means to me, I think, that he didn't offer to pay you half the rent. And one thing is for sure, that he is living with you rent-free. So even if that was the case, he must have thought you were paying the entire rent. But yet he's the one that's angry at you for not disclosing this information. How does he deserve half of the tenant's money? Where does that argument or logic come from, or lack thereof? Please reconsider this relationship, my friend. It's time to go, and you are not the jerk, obviously. And now for our final Am I the Jerk post of this episode. Am I the jerk for telling my sister to stop saying I have pretty privilege and it's her fault she looks ugly? I have a sister who is 25. I'll call her Tessa. I'm just going to be blunt and say I look better than her. It's due to her not taking care of herself at all. When I was staying active, she was not. I spend my money to get skincare and keep my hair nice. She doesn't, and she doesn't dress nicely either. She's always in sweats, even going somewhere nice. Overall, I just look better than her. She has the money to do these things, but she just doesn't. Now, every time I see her, she will comment something about the way I look. If I tell a story that turns out good for me, she will tell me it's because I am pretty, and so on. I assume that she's jealous, and I've talked to her about it. Now, I just passed my test to get my license for my job. I was telling the story at dinner, and she told me that I only passed since I was pretty. This makes no sense. I had enough and told her to stop saying I have pretty privilege and that it's her fault that she looks ugly, not mine. She left the table after calling me the C word, and my family is now split. I mean, to be honest, you could have even gone a little bit harsher and just called her fat, because that is kind of what you're implying. Now, just calling her ugly, if it's true, there you go. There's a difference, isn't there, between like someone that has great genetics and it is just a very good looking person because of their genetics, and someone who keeps themselves in good shape, you know, looks after themselves from a physical appearance, but also from a, you know, just general well-being, compared to someone that perhaps doesn't as much. Not saying that that's more pretty or not, even though objectively it is. Okay, contentious point there, but you get what I'm saying. You know, people in general will value one person A, as more pretty than someone who doesn't look after themselves as much. That's not pretty privilege though, is it really? Because if you've worked on that, and you know, it's not just like you were born with all that stuff, and you compare it to someone that has a lot of DNA similar to you, but is just not in good shape and doesn't look after herself. It's not really pretty privilege, is it? It's just you look after yourself. Congrats. That is the reward that you get from keeping in shape and having a good skincare routine, I guess. I think really the whole point is that your sister just seems extremely insecure. Again, as you said, that you passed your test to get your license for your job. How can that ever be due to pretty privilege? I mean, unless there's an interview there or something, like that literally makes no sense. So clearly she's got an issue and she's just taking it out on you. And ultimately, if she's being that insufferable, which clearly she is, then yeah, it gets to the stage where you have to call her out, and I think you did the right thing. You're definitely not the jerk. Guys, that is going to do it for this one. Get in the comments, as always, on the last episode of r/AmITheJerk. I had hundreds of comments from you guys down below. It was fascinating, to be honest, to see how much you disagreed with me. That was the main thing. But yeah, do it again. Run it up. I want to see your thoughts on all those 6 stories. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, drop a like, and I'll bring you some more Am I the Jerk posts very, very soon.